Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to my channel. My name is Margaret Pinard. I am an author of historical fiction and fantasy and the host of May of the Moderns. And if that is what brought you here, halloo. I am going to be doing some get to know me stuff. So if you're new to the channel, this is a special trailer for you. And if you're not new to the channel, this is still new information. So I thought I would cover the 4 jobs that I have had in the book industry, publishing industry, that I love. Sunday is a good day for positive talk, right? So I'm going to be covering 4 different roles that I've had in the book world and what I love about them. So all positive today. And yeah, announcements just to start off. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. Happy to have you here. The readathon is going strong. We're halfway through. I've got almost 3 books done and many more that I want to read. Some really good ones for May of the Moderns, which is, if you are not here from that readathon, reading books that are published, written, or translated between 1901 and 1945. So taking a look at vintage classics that maybe have been gathering dust on your shelf and really deserve a second chance. Or do they, right? So it's been really fun doing that readathon for the 3rd year. And we've got the challenge on Storygraph, we've got the playlist on my channel with everyone who's participating, and we've got the recommendations on Bookshop, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. I think that's all we have. The AWC has an announcement. I am part of the AuthorTube Writing Conference with Esty Houston, and we just have 2 weeks left for the first page critique submissions. So if you are interested in getting a free critique from industry professionals, which sometimes you can pay hundreds of dollars for, you can get that free online anonymously by submitting to our link. And that link is here. There we go. So I'll just pop that in the chat. And I won't be funny and say submit in a funny voice because my voice will probably go. It's weaker when it's hotter, and it's quite hot here. I've got the fan on, so we'll do what we can. Let's see. AWC announcements, May of the Moderns announcements. I think that's good. So maybe we can dive into the first job that I'm going to talk about. If you have questions, definitely make sure to pop them in the chat, and I will star them and address them at the end. Also, please note there's a poll. I put up a poll in the live chat. So if you're here during the live stream, tell me what you think is the best role of these 4. All right, so number 1. So I might get a lot of friends here on this role. Let me check the comments and see if I've got people. The Blind Mage, LN Frost, dropping in to say hello. And Cool Gamer, hello. Hey, F. Stewart, hey, Anita. RK Stumbling Bear, hey, Rachel. Bookskers and Purrs, hi, Leslie. Author Ty Williams, hello. Thanks for coming by, guys, on this lovely Sunday. My first role that I really love in the book industry has got to be, don't guess all at once, writer, right? This is why I got into the whole dang business to begin with. And in preparing for this Get to Know Me video, I sort of put in little scripts. So you'll excuse me if I read these thoughts instead of think them up again, because this is what came up for me this morning and I liked the rhythm of it. So I want to read it instead of try to think it without reading. Okay, so as a writer, one second. As a writer, you have 1,000 thoughts a day about what if, and you get to channel them into examining human relationship, conscience, motivation, and breaking point. I create a story out of nothing, needing no one else's validation or direction or permission. Yes. Characters come alive and speak in their own voices. History, since I'm a historical fiction writer, comes to life, and there is a music score of emotion and weight given to minute decisions and forgotten acts. I can relay a memory of a scene as well as imagine an impossible one. That's the historical fantasy part. Grounding it with detail, color, sound, and sensory information. I can script a conversation to convey the ranges of emotion I feel along with my characters, from despair to hope to anguish to indignation. I can give voices back to people long forgotten through crafting an amalgamation of other voices, researched voices, like creating a remix or combining recipes. Writing feels expressive, creative, like translation, and it gives inner satisfaction. You need to do it. You're a writer. What do you think? What do you think? There's a lot to love about that. I was sort of trying to distill the feeling of what it's like when it's writing and what gives me the dopamine when I'm in that zone. So that is rule number 1. I'll just pop up here and remind people, if you've got questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. If you disagree, if you think writing, no, most terrible job in the world. Can't imagine anyone in the audience that would say that. But hey, there's room for all opinions. Okay, rule number 2, and then we'll take a break in between because we have 4 to go through. Rule number 2 is reader. This came the earliest. It's one of the first cognitive skills you remember as a milestone, though I don't remember mine in particular. Reading is escaping. It is ease and distraction and focus and learning, all the things. I read for different reasons, and reading satisfies different needs. Nonfiction history and sociology and science tell me about the world and how to be a better human to other humans. Historical mystery, to be absorbed, to learn about far lands and distant eras, tucking away judgments and observations for later exhumation. Nature memoirs are for affirming that urge in me to connect with nature, even when I don't know how to proceed further. Other people's voices enable that for me. Romance, when I want a fantasy of good intentions and right triumphing over might. It really is a fantasy. And for every one of these categories and dozens more, there are audiences to share that feeling with. People who read a different book but felt the same way, or people who read the same book and felt differently. With that, a discussion is launched. Reading opens doors for a very low price, sometimes free, and for once, it doesn't matter who you know to open that door. The words are equal opportunity. I read every day. It is nourishment for my brain, not because of the information going in necessarily, but because of the fact that I'm exercising it in that way. A challenge or a comfort or a stretch or simply curling up with a sigh. It isn't really exercise, but it's movement of a sort. And having those different types every day is what nourishes my brain. So let me know if that resonates with you too. So that's my job as a reader. Okay, let me take a break and check in. Rachel! I should have put that down. Yes, the best. What is the best role? And Rachel says, I wanted to vote E, all of the above, but it wasn't an option. Good point. Good point. So 2 more. You know what I'm going to do with the part 2 of this video, don't you? I'm going to talk about book jobs that I didn't like so much. Any guesses for what's on that list? Pop them in the comments. All right. So for writing, there's a link I can give you. What makes sense for my job as a writer to share with you? Oh, I don't know. A link to the bookstore where you can get all my books. How about that? So I'll just pop that in. And as a reader, I'll combine it with another thing in just a second. Leo is here, late, but hi. Nice to see you. Okay, we ready for rule number 3? Yes. So writer, reader, bookseller. So many of you may not know that I have been a bookseller. And what made me think of the topic for this video was actually my experience bookselling, because my partner in crime for AuthorTube Writing Conference, Shannon, she was saying she's excited to be going wide distributing her books for her next phase of publishing. But she didn't know the details of how books get into bookstores. And so I thought, oh, how do I know that? Well, some of it is research as an indie author, but also bookseller experience. As a bookseller, you have a catalog. You used to have 2 possibilities. You used to, if you're old and gray like me, you would remember Baker and Taylor being a possibility for wholesaling books to you. But now it's only Ingram. So they are the narrow bridge that goes from all the books being published in the world to all the bookstores in the world, basically. So anyway, bookselling, you get to choose from among those books for what to put on your shelf. And here are some of the reasons why I love being a bookseller. Booksellers get to take their expertise, crafted in solitude and secrecy, and decide who gets what part. A customer comes into the bookstore, you size them up. What assumptions do you make? How do you approach? Where are they drawn to? You are surprised. You hit the nail on the head. Every person is a new opportunity. You learn about books for others. That's the ARC train. Let me know if you are also on that train and enjoy it. You get opportunities to help local authors, local charities, other bookstores. Your word is given weight and credence. Whew. You deal with shipping warehouses and small presses, customer service, and small fish buyers. You bet on a new name. You are surprised. You hit the nail on the head. You arrange books on shelves, decide how much to invest in sidelines of plastic and cotton. You wear outrageous socks. That one goes out to JD Estrada. You organize events with other readers. You learn about subgenres you weren't even aware of. You read for work. You juggle profit margins as narrow as some people's minds while constantly searching for an easy, reliable win to keep people happy. You are surprised. And sometimes you hit the nail on the head. So, to combine my reader job that I love and my bookseller job that I love, I have the Bookshop link. And so if you don't know, I'm an affiliate for bookshop.org, and I make lots of book recommendations based on what I read and help Bookshop sell them from an Ingram distributor to anywhere you are, depending on where you are. The shipping will vary, of course, but my recommendations are based on my reading reviews. So if you follow the channel and you hear what I'm saying about a book, you will see if it's on like the recommended 4 to 5 stars or particular lists like the May of the Moderns list on bookshop.org. And the reason I go with Bookshop instead of Amazon is that Bookshop was created to be able to liaise with independent bookstores and affiliates like me rather than having all of the profits gobbled up and the monopoly reinforced at Amazon. So there you go. So that is my bookseller link for Bookshop. Jim is here from Jim's Book Reading and Stuff. Hey, Jim. And my recommendations. So those are 2 different links. The short one is books that I wrote and I'm selling on Books to Read. This one is books that I read and I recommend on bookshop.org. Hi, Lauren. Welcome. Neo says, I love bookshop.org. There we go. Don't we all? Don't we all? Yes. Okay, so that's 3. What is next? The last one. What is the last role that I love? What else could there be? Writer, reader, bookseller. Well, it's a role. It's not quite a job, but it's a role. And that is a discusser of books, a YouTuber, a Booktuber, if you will. So here's my little spiel on what I love about being a Booktuber. Being a Booktuber is like having 6 book clubs going on at once. There are your distant, long ago favorites, remembered fondly, and ranked nonsensically above much better ones. There are the modern classics, the ones everybody seems to have read, but you haven't. And when you finally do, you're disappointed. What do you say? Leading or presenting a discussion of a book you didn't love creates all sorts of decision points. I don't like decision points, but it's life. Decision points. How honest should I be? What does my audience need or want to hear? What will my brand be? Should I limit my reading and reviews to those I know I can champion to avoid negativity? Should I have a different policy for living authors from dead authors? For traditionally published ones to self-published ones? All the questions. Once you've created a brand from these choices, then you need to be consistent, but surprisingly unique, of course, to have your content distributed to more people you don't know, in hopes that people will listen to your carefully crafted, or not, long researched, or not, thoughts on books. I love the long research part, but tend not to carefully craft my reviews, preferring instead to reach in at the moment of truth and surprise myself with what comes out. There's some risk to this. Or sometimes I tab it up and pick 1 or 2 tabs to share. If you're in the tab mafia, let me know in the chat or the comments. These are quotes that bowled me over or made me laugh, and they are fun to share. This sharing with feedback is like a bookseller making recommendations and getting back what people thought in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why or why not? It's exciting. Like an amphitheater of philosophers in ancient Greece discussing the meaning of life. It's 42. Even better, actually. So, yes. And a link that I can share to be relevant to my YouTubing role is this one, which is somewhat new. It's my shorts challenge for April. So if you've been hearing about these like shorts on YouTube, the minute or less videos that are phone vertical format rather than the wide format, and wondering what all the hubbub is about. Number 1, it's better for getting to grow as a channel. And number 2, I decided I should try it because I've been knocking it and that's not a good policy. So I did one every day in April because I was participating in Camp Nano as a writer, which meant that I was writing about 45 minutes every morning, a different short story scene about historical fiction, and recording it and putting little stitches of other things that were going on to compile them into little mini vlogs. So this is my playlist of all those mini vlogs. So I've got 30 under a minute for April. And so that is sort of encapsulating my writer and YouTuber experience. So that's 2 of the roles that I love, which is kind of fun. Promoter. I mean, there's an interesting porous boundary there. Lauren is saying promoter. That's very close. So YouTube does involve some promotion of books, but you get to choose for your brand how much of it is that and how much of it is discussing books. So there's a vast range of what people choose to go with, which is nice to see. Sometimes you want one end, sometimes you want the other end of the spectrum. Yes. And Leo says, I love hearing that people have read books I recommended and enjoyed them. It's not a good feeling. It's like you gave a little gift of your time and effort. Someone took you up on it, received it with joy, and like returns the feeling to you. So it's pretty marvelous. And I like doing that in the digital sphere as a booktuber. Super fun. So yeah, that is my fourth role. Let's see if we can wrap up the poll and see if there's any conclusions to be made. Last chance to vote in the poll. 5, 4, 3, 2. Ending. Oh, so we've got writers in the house. Writers wins with 50%, and then reader, and then reviewer. No one. See, this is why I thought it would be interesting to hear about the bookseller experience, because no one here is on the bookseller side, interestingly enough. So yeah, let me just take a quick screenshot of that poll because I don't know how to find them after I leave the screen. And yeah, that might be interesting to think about later as well. So since my audience has writers and readers and reviewers in it, let me know if you have questions for the other roles that you are not part of, you are not a component piece of, because that would be interesting. In the meantime, I'll give you a minute, think of a question, drop it in the chat, or if you're watching this on the replay, drop it in the comments. I answer every comment I get, so I love to see them and learn about new channels. I also watch a lot of channels and leave a lot of comments. So if you're visiting from one of my comments, hello. I just uploaded new music, so we're listening to some new music. The breeze is coming in the window. I'm like, it's such a beautiful weekend day. So yeah, feeling pretty good. Hope everyone out there is in a good mood, feeling well taken care of as well. Okay. Lauren's got another question. Sweet. So let me start with one of Lauren's questions. So her first question is, do you have Ko-fi and know you have Patreon? Okay, thank you for this question. I do have a Ko-fi, and for those who don't know, when I'm talking about book industry jobs, this is a valid component. This is a way to support an artist who doesn't provide products regularly enough or sell at enough of a high volume to support themselves. So it's like a patronage system or a tip jar. So Patreon is more like a patronage system because it's more geared toward a regular subscription of throw $5 at someone to help them out. And Ko-fi is more geared toward the tip jar because it's not automatically trying to make you subscribe. You can just donate at any point. Although both platforms now do both things, of course, because everything is merging into one these days. But yeah, I'm on both just in case people are in different places and want to participate. But I definitely have more content on Patreon. And the link for that. Do I have a link for that? I should. I think it's in my description. So I'll grab it in my description. Did you find me on Patreon? We just had AuthorTubers karaoke last night, and Barrett held up a postcard to help get out the word about one of the Patreon tiers that I offer, which is book mail. You get a little vintage postcard that I send out at the beginning of every month, and it's super fun. I love writing, not just books, also longhand snail mail. And so I have a collection of 100 plus postcards from random places. And I select a specific one for each person who is a patron at that level. And write them a message and send it out every month, and it's like the highlight of the month. So super fun. Thank you, Lauren. Oh, Leo says, I'm grateful for editors and beta readers too. Interesting. Those are, let's see. I have been a beta reader, but not very often. I definitely haven't been paid for it. So I don't conceive of that for me as like a full-on job like the other ones I've described. An editor is not something I have done professionally, just on the down low. But yeah, definitely grateful for them as well, as a writer and as a reader, for sure. Leo loves the postcards. Yay! Leo's on this tier as well. And, I try to make them personal and match and funny. And I have quite the store because I've gathered postcards on my travels for decades. And I'm now trying to be more minimalist. So I thought that was a good twofer, a good goal for allowing things at the door as well as writing mail, which I already love to do. Yeah, Lauren says, what a fun thing to do. Postcards are fun. Yes. Lauren had another question. This is like the Holy Grail question here. Best method of selling books. Now you have asked best, not the most lucrative, but best. So I would say the most lucrative depends on a number of different factors and will change for every author, right? I think overall, most people would agree that the best method of selling books is passively, like someone else is doing the work, right? You've got a store or a shop set up, and people can find your name easily on the internet and purchase your book easily on the internet, right? Those things are hard, but you said best. So I'm going to say conventions and/or events by hand selling, because this combines the bookseller that I love and the writer role that I love. Because when you're at events and you have people come up and ask you about your books and you get all excited and they catch the excitement and then they want to read it, that's the best. That's the best way of selling books. And then you're selling direct, so you get more money than if you're selling it through someone like Amazon or Ingram. So check it out. Okay, so I think I forgot one announcement. So as we wrap up today's live stream, I'm going to end with this announcement, which is the most important thing this weekend. I am part of a couple of different anthologies. One is Half Human Heroes, which is a science fiction fantasy anthology of Booktuber's work, put together by Jeremy Fee. It is being published tomorrow, Monday. So until tomorrow, you can pre-order it, which is great. Monday is also the last day for A Mighty Blazes fundraiser on GoFundMe, and they have hit their goal, which is great. But Tuesday is the last day for the Stygian collection, and that is another anthology of Booktuber's work. Bigger than Jeremy's. I think he has 10 contributions and they have 24, so it's a little longer. And they chose to go with Kickstarter, which means that they need the money up front. So they've got all sorts of tiers where you can choose your benefit, kind of like Patreon, throw in your money, and then on Tuesday we see if we hit their goal. Now they are just past halfway, and I really, really want them to hit this goal. So I will be doing a last few social media blasts to get that out to people. Kickstarter, and it's called the Stygian Collection. It's dark fantasy, philosophy, literary fiction, horror. It's things that feel otherworldly and strange and eerie and have some suspense to them, but also there's humor. So I'm going to be very interested to see the other folks' contributions. But yeah, so very excited about this, and it needs most help. So pop into Kickstarter to support the Stygian collection, which is the debut collection of Stygian Press. So new people starting a press in Montreal. Very excited. So yeah, that is my video for today. Thank you for coming, attending, commenting, liking, subscribing, and being a general great literary community participant. That's all I ask for. So I will see you around Booktube. Maybe you'll be writing alongside. Maybe you'll be reading alongside. We love all the different parts and talking about it. So thanks for coming by and hope to see you again soon.